Trump's tariffs caused a massive meltdown in the markets. Now we've had this 90-day pause and we've seen a huge rebound. Has this presented great trading opportunities? Yes, it has. Let's take a look. Welcome to Simply Forex, the channel that gives you in-depth market analysis, trade ideas, tips and advice so you too can succeed at trading. And if you stay till the end of this vid, guys, I'm going to give you all of my swing trade ideas for this week. And we got so much to look at. If that sounds like a plan, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash that like button. Merci beaucoup. So where to start, guys, right? There's so much stuff to get through, right? We're going to start with the indices, but we're also going to look at the effect that bounce has had on the flight to safeties. We're going to look at yen and Swiss franc and how their correlation has broken. We're going to take a look at euro strength. Is that waning? We're going to look at US dollar. Any ideas how to trade the US dollar, please write into us. And we're also going to look at gold, Bitcoin and oil. But let's start with the indices. The NASDAQ, this is the weekly chart, and unless you've been living under a stone, we know these have been dropping like a stone. See what I did there? Because of Trump's tariffs, right? Trump's tariffs, it's the end of the world, we're all in recession, and then bang, he introduces a 90-day pause, and then we get a bit of confidence back in investors. Right, and we see this big bullish weekly candle. Now, do I want to start buying the indices? Do I want to start selling them? The answer is no, I don't want to do either. There's still so much uncertainty, right? And that uncertainty is because, firstly, this is a pause, right? It's not tariffs have stopped. It's a pause, right? So tariffs aren't going away. And more importantly, you know, this fight between China and America, because the pause doesn't apply to China, is creating further uncertainty and turbulence in the markets. It could quite easily make the markets do this, or some good news between America and China could make the markets do this, right? It's so unpredictable at the moment. So I'm just staying away from the indices, but it has led to some interesting trade ideas, which I'm going to show you very shortly. And I also want to point out is there is not many men in the world that can make the market do that and then do that. But old Trumpy boy is one of them, right? It's crazy how much power he has. Now, when we saw this big sell-off on the indices, right, obviously all the flight to safeties were strong. We had yen strength, we had Swiss franc strength, we had gold strength, right, obviously. But that's where I want to start with these flight to safeties, because I want to compare Swiss franc and yen. Now, if we go to Aussie dollar Swiss franc, right, you've got two setups or non-setups in the market this week, right? You have got a massive, right, this again, weekly charts, because these are swing trades. You have pairs that are in a massively trending, but they are super overextended, okay? And therefore there's no trade. So Aussie dollar Swiss franc and Swiss franc pairs in general, because of this Swiss franc strength, are a no trade, right? Look at any of them. Right, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, right? Now, clearly you want to sell this. I'm not selling down here. Look at the moving average 20. That's the mean. There's just no value. Any of them. Let's look at pound Swiss franc, right? Look at that. Now, you're probably thinking, Tom, that's a sell trade. Let's sell it. No, there's no value down here, right? So that's one scenario we're seeing. We're seeing massively trending markets, but there's no trade because there's no value. And that is for all Swiss franc pairs. Now let's compare the Swiss franc with a yen pair. So if we look at Aussie dollar yen, it's the opposite. We've had a real bounce back. Now, I also want to point out that Aussie dollar yen is at a real key support level through here, right? And unlike the Swiss franc, the yen pairs have had a real bounce back. And for that reason, we can trade the retrace. Okay, so Aussie dollar yen is actually a buy trade for me this week. Okay, and I would probably only take price to these lows here, right? Now, that dynamic between Swiss franc and yen is interesting, right? They're both flight to safeties, but Swiss franc is super strong and yen isn't, right? Now, if you look at Swiss franc yen, look at that, right? Look how strong the Swiss franc is compared to the yen, all right? So with yen pairs, we could potentially trade the retrace if we have room, right? When I say we have room, we need room back up to here. And Aussie dollar yen is the one trade that I like to trade that retrace. And that's basically what we're looking at, guys. We have either overextended markets and we have no trade, or we have a downtrend with a very bullish candle and we can trade the retrace, which is what we're seeing with Aussie dollar yen. Another trade which is identical, and like I say, I would trade Aussie dollar yen back into these highs. Okay. Another trade like that is Aussie dollar Canadian dollar. Yeah. So we're having this weekly chart. We thought things were building up, and then bang, massive sell-off, super overextended, nice big bullish candle. I also like Aussie dollar Canadian dollar buys potentially back up to this last low here as well. All right, so there's a couple of retrace trades that I'm looking at. I've still got other trades that I'm looking at. In fact, we've got a shed load of stuff to look at. So that's what we're seeing there. All right, now the next thing I want to look at is euro strength, right? Now we know that euro has been on the tear, okay? This is the weekly chart. This is euro Aussie dollar. And we know that euro has just been so strong, right, against everything, okay? Now, it's overextended as well, right? This, you know, these markets are super overextended. They're super volatile. They're super unusual, right? Thank you, Trump. Thank you kindly. Now, euro is an interesting one because, you know, are we seeing this euro strength weaken? And I would suggest yes, right? However, this weekly candle is a doji, right? That's not telling me to buy or sell, right? I would need to see another big bearish candle, and then I think we could start selling euro pairs. But I just want to show how this euro strength is weakening. If you look at euro New Zealand dollar, right? We're getting these big rejection wicks. In fact, on Friday, because of the day chart, right, because of this big daily candle, this was actually a sell trade on Friday. And look what it did, right? Would have been a nice trade. And I still think these have room potentially all the way back down to the next piece of support through here. All right. So, yeah, euro New Zealand, euro Aussie dollar. On the day chart, I do like the look of selling them. On the weekly chart, the candle just says uncertainty, right? But we are seeing euro strength weaken. So yeah, the next thing we want to look at, guys, is the US dollar. Right now, before we look at the US dollar, if I could please ask everyone to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. If you haven't already, please don't forget to come join our trading community. It's a wonderful place where you can have a chit chat, share knowledge with traders, share trade ideas. So please come join our free Discord. The link is below this vid. Also, guys, if you would like access to all of our premium trading education, we've got the complete Simply Forex Trading Course. We've got the VIP Discord and Trading Academy, and we've got the mentorship program where I coach you one-on-one. If you're interested in any of those things, please go check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. Also, guys, please don't forget to leave a comment below the vid. Maybe leave a question if you need any help to do with anything to do with trading. Please leave a question or a comment below. Mercy beaucoup. Right, US dollar. Okay, now when we think of the US dollar, we've got to look at the dollar index, and it is at an interesting level. Right now, it's the weekly candle. right, has broken the $100 mark, which is a huge psychological number for the dollar, right? $100. It doesn't get more big psychologically than that, right? And it's broken a lot of these lows in here, right? And of course, there's support at the $100 level because of that psychological level. Now, this hasn't quite broken these lows, right? But if I zoom in, that is a very bearish weekly candle. All right. It's going to be very interesting to see if the US dollar does hold on to this $100 psychological level. I'll be really interested to see how this monthly candle finishes, right? Let's take a quick look at the monthly chart. I mean, just look at that level. It has held for bloody ages, right? Will it also hold by the end of this month, right? Now, generally speaking, if we look at the day chart, right, the dollar has been weak, right? And it's been in a downtrend. But it hasn't, that weakness hasn't necessarily manifested in all of the US dollar majors, right? Now, what sums up the US dollar for me at the moment is the Aussie dollar weekly chart, right? Now, you know, a week ago, we're seeing this big, huge weekly candle, right? That's suggesting US dollar strength. We've broken all of these lows, only for this to happen the following week. And that just sums up the dollar at the moment. It is so difficult to trade, right? It goes in one direction, then the other. It's, yeah, just very difficult to trade. And this uncertainty is seen across all US dollar pairs, right? If we look at Euro US dollar, right? I mean, even here, right? We started to see these wicks come in. Yeah, was this level holding, right? Could we see US dollar strength? And then bang, look at the euro. But if you think about this as a chart, we are super, super duper overextended, right? Can we expect a retrace and some US dollar strength? Now, again, I just don't want to trade this. Firstly, it's super overextended. As I explained, a lot of these charts are, and there's no value. This is a prime example. And I would trade the retrace, but I need to see something, you know, like a big bearish candle. We just don't have that. So I don't want to buy it. I don't want to sell it, right? Again, just leads to a bit of US dollar uncertainty. Pound US dollar. Again, right? Look at this. Big weekly selling candle. I did actually make some profit on pound US dollar sells, but then look, bang, big bullish candle, right? Confusion. So the dollar, I am just staying away for the most part. However, right, if we look at US dollar yen and the weekly chart, right, this is crying out to be sold. Right, we was in this weekly uptrend, right, and then price broke down. We're now firmly downtrending. Okay, we're getting lower highs, lower lows, and we have a nice big bearish weekly candle, right, and this suggests we can still take price back down to these lows. All right, so this is a trade idea. US dollar yen back down to 141, and also, guys, US dollar Canadian dollar. Right now, this is less clear for me because there is a little bit of an important level through here, right? And price, you know, has it broke it? Is it just at it? Now, looking at that weekly candle, again, US dollar, Canadian dollar, I need a retrace, I need some value, but that would suggest that can come down to this important trend line as well. So US dollar, Canadian dollar and US dollar yen would see a continuation of this US dollar weakness that we are seeing. This is the dollar index, this US dollar weakness that we're seeing on the index. Okay. But for the most part, a lot of those US dollar majors are confused. All right, so that's US dollar. And please, guys, let me know what you're thinking about the US dollar. Please leave a comment below. We would love to have your analysis and insight as well. One quick other trade idea I want to show you. Then we're going to look at gold, Bitcoin, and oil. But let's have a look at pound Canadian dollar. So this is a buy trade for me, because look at this setup, guys. I love this setup. So we was in a bit of a range, and then it turned into an uptrend on the weekly. We've retraced into a really, really nice level. Yeah, what was once resistance becomes support, and we've got the moving average 20 coming round as well. I think pound Canadian dollar has huge potential back up to these highs and this 1.8600 level. If we drop down to the day chart, what do I want to see? I want to see a bit of a break in the daily structure. So as you can see, price has been coming down, and this is where we're at. But if we sort of get this kind of price action, then a break of trend, right, I will be all over this, buying pound Canadian dollar back up to this level in here. All right, so that's a trade idea for this week as well. Let's just take a look at gold. It's like a magical unicorn, right? It's a mythical creature. It's just mental, right? Like, even when you think, yeah, that we're seeing a bit of a sell-off candle, does it have further room to the downside? Gold says, ha, ha, ha. Are you mental? I'm a mythical creature. And I just keep going, right? Gold is mentally strong. Right, I've talked enough about all the fundamentals behind it. We know why gold is strong. So many fundamental reasons to support gold buys. But again, it's just so overextended. But how many times have I said that, guys, to be honest? But it's not a trade idea. We just want to just sit back, take a second, and just soak it in. Right? That's gold. That's all I've got to say on the matter. Bitcoin's interesting right now. I mean, if we looked at the monthly chart, right, we've got this level through here. Now, everyone has been looking at this level through here, right? Because, we're in a monthly uptrend with Bitcoin. We hit the big 100,000 level. A few people lost their bottle and started selling. But now it's just come back down to a really nice, potentially buying level, right? Could it go a little bit lower and actually hit this level? Moving average 20 catches up? Yeah, maybe. But nonetheless, if you're buy crypto just to hold, buy Bitcoin just to hold, you're getting value, right? We've got this room to move up into here, if not further. If we look at the weekly chart as well, look at this nice big weekly candle that we've just had. All right. Now, in an ideal price action structural world, I would like to see a break of this last high here, right? And then we're off to the races again. So yeah, Bitcoin, potential buy trade this week at a really nice level. And then we're also going to take a look at oil, right? We're looking at everything today. Nothing is left unturned. Now, if you pick West Texan or Brent, right, they both pretty much look the same. Let's have a look at Brent. Now, we know there was this important level, right, that broke. It's the same with West Texan Intermediate as well. This 70 level on Brent, big level. Last week, we broke it. Right, we had this big sell-off on gold. Again, it come all the way down to here, and then you're just gonna get buyers, right? Everyone else is thinking, right, this is falling off a cliff. The smart investors are buying when everyone else is shitting themselves. Buyers are thinking, this is such a great value price. Let's buy this bad boy, right? And that's what a lot of people are thinking with the indices as well, right? And who can argue with that concept, with that idea? So oil, I actually like as one of my retrace trades. We said either the markets are too overextended and there's no bullish or bearish candle. This candle is bullish enough for me to trade the retrace, potentially back into here. Then I would be looking for sells at that level. Right, so I think oil is potentially a buy trade back up to here. And if you look at the day chart, I was actually buying oil on Friday. So we had this huge bullish daily candle, right? We've got this wick here. We've got a bullish candle here. Can we ride this back up to potentially all the way back up to perhaps 68 and the moving average 20? All right, we shall see. Yeah, so is that everything? Yes, I believe so. But guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button and smash that like button. Please come join me for the live streams where we, look at live trades, analyze the market and take all your questions. So please join me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. New York EST time for the live streams. You can ask me as many questions as you damn like. Guys, have a great trading week and I'll see you next week.